I started out playing, I wanted to learn as many instruments. I forget what album, I think it was Purple Rain, made me want to learn every instrument I could possibly ever learn.
Yeah.
I was born in 1980. So I was young when I got hip to that album. My brother and sister were older than me. And I took up guitar first, naturally. That was the rocking instrument. I was drums all through school. But then when I really started, I learned a little bit of guitar and I started finding a voice in it. I started playing acoustic guitars all the time. And they just feel more comfortable to me. I was a big Ani DeFranco fan. Just the whole, the rhythmic shit that she's got going on. You're gonna have to get a licensing. And so I learned, and that whole rhythmic style, I've never been able to use a pick on a regular guitar. And necessity decreed that I pick up the bass because the band that I was gonna be in needed a bass player. And I was really influenced by mostly old funk players like Bootsy, Sly Stone, and I was a kid too, and I really Flea and Primus was really happening at that time, and the bass was kind of becoming a lead instrument. Right. So I kind of went that way for a minute, but mostly just a really rhythmic thing of it. I don't really play a traditional style because it's just a bastardization of the other instruments that I don't know how to play properly. You know what I mean? Yeah. so that's where I ended up, and I'd say the bass is my first instrument now. But yeah, I write kind of that same kind of folky music for myself, little jazzy, folky stuff.
Do you think any of that folky thing comes out of your origins in Woodstock and that whole attachment to that?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it. Yeah, probably. Because there is a big street musician thing there. Woodstock is definitely where I started my mischief, which is, I'd leave home, but with my acoustic guitar and go hang out and smoke weed and play guitar on the green. The fact of the matter is, man, I grew up around a lot of cats that I really respect and learned a lot. I learned a lot about saying more and doing less. You know what I mean? And that's when I kind of strayed from the whole and listen, man, I'm a huge Les Claypool fan, but I kind of went started aiming back towards the roots and stuff like that. But the folk mentality definitely came from Woodstock because I was a street kid. I wanted to hang out under a tree all weekend and smoke weed.
Do you recall the first sort of moment that it was someone needs a bass player, or maybe I should try bass? What was that entrance in?
I was saving money, and my dad helped me out, bought my first bass, which was a Fender Prophecy 2. Can you imagine? I saved forever to get that. I was fucking 14, 13. It takes a long time for a kid to save that kind of money. And so that was my bass because it had it was really active, and it could just make that. It's just really a present. It really, it's a very, all the shit I tried it out, I really liked the way that one looked and the way that one felt, you know what I mean? And so I had the bass, and I basically used it to play, higher ground. and these covers, it never really dawned on me that that's what I was going to end up doing and loving as much as I do. I love the freedom that this instrument gives me. I have zero boundaries. But I know what to do with it. And like I said, it's really important to me to realize when saying less or doing less says more.
Yeah.
There's John Bonham people and there's Neil Peart people.
Yeah.
I'm a John Bonham person.
Gotcha. And for those out there who maybe don't really understand, can you break it down for them?
It's the swagger. It's being back on the beat. John Bonham did a lot of amazing, things, but you know what I mean? I just feel like John Bonham did so much more going than Neil Peart did with all his rototoms. And I think Neil Peart's incredible. God forbid I should have any kind of talent like that, man. You know what I mean? He's a really gifted dude. I just am more of a feel guy. You know what I mean? There's a word in Spanish, in Spain Spanish, that there is no English translation for it. It applies specifically to the arts in Spain, especially flamenco, but also to poetry and dancing and things like that. And the word is duende. And so the masters do, when all the flamenco guys, this is how it was explained to me by an old jazz guy in Long Island. All the flamenco guys sit down on the fucking docks or whatever and pound espresso all night. They paperclip playing cards to the table. And all night they go until that card breaks or rips up, then they put another card up all fucking night. That's what they do to get that dexterity. Because real flamenco music isn't taught in any schools. Real genuine flamenco. And every however long, again, this is what was explained to me. The masters would come down and listen to everybody play, and there could be two guys playing exactly the same thing. The naked ear wouldn't really know the difference, but this guy goes, duende. And that guy should continue to play the guitar. The other guy should just pack his shit and go home and do something else.
Wow.
So duende, essentially, it kind of means soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people just have a soul. All of our albums kind of different, but this one's really different than our last ones. But it sounds really good. Atticus Ross produced it, and Joe Barresi. I love the studio. I love playing the studio. For something about the studio, I just execute better in the studio. You know, live, maybe I'm a little more daring live just because it don't matter. But every live show does matter now because it's all on the fucking internet.
Yeah.
But just two completely different sides of my musical personality. Is in the studio, where I execute, and then there's live, where I actually kind of do more art.
You entertain as
You know
well.
what I mean? Yeah. And all while trying to entertain, hopefully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta pay the bills somehow. Gotta pay my fucking Fender bill.
So you be taking some of your Fender basses out on the road with you?
Oh yeah. I got the 75 blonde jazz bass and the 62 American jazz that I really love. So those two are pretty standard.
Very cool. Very cool.
When I made the first Coheed and Cambria record, a lot of cool things happened on the bass, and I used to attribute it to that I didn't have any theory in my playing. I mean, I had music theory. I kind of left that behind a long time ago, and was more, you know, there's a lot of people that say, you know, I don't think of music that way. It takes a soul out of it. I disagree. But what I thought was at the time, this cool shit wouldn't have happened if I knew all my theory. But here's the thing: the more you know how to break the rules classily, in a more classy way. Yeah. And there's a lot of things I wish I'd done different back then. And touring is really what did it to me, because we have a very loose. I mean, the song structures are there, but different shit happens every night. You know what I mean? I wouldn't call us a jam band, but all these magical little, like, almost kind of like jazz ESP thing goes on between the drummer, the guitar players, and these cool little things happen in songs, and they evolve. So by the time 5 years goes by, the songs are almost completely different than they were. And learning my place in that, the better I got, I wanted to play more. I wanted to play faster and more, and I went out there, and then I had to pull back a little bit. And this band is really unique because it's really progressive stuff. It's really, really odd stuff. Like it's a lot of jazz sensibility in what Claudio writes, like just the keys that he uses, and the time signatures. It's really all over the place. And so another thing I've gained from this band is the ability to just pick up shit like that. You know what I mean? This dude will hit me with some, you know, ridiculous, like fucking Django Reinhardt sounding shit, only with the distortion on it. And he's like, all right, can you double that? You know, and I've been doing that for 10 years, and now I can just pick things up really fast and then break it down.
For me, I talk to guitar players who prefer a Strat, but they love to play a Tele, and the reason they say they love to play a Tele is the fight. And it's not because the instrument won't give it to you, it's that you got to earn it. And you got to put your heart into it and pull it out, and it's never as fast as articulate as you want it to be, but it's greasy and soulful, and that's when you know you got it.
Duende.